Well, if you like basketball, specifically college basketball in the Final Four, and you live in the state of Michigan or in the Great Lakes region or across the country, quite frankly, you're going to love that in 2027, the Final Four is coming back to Ford Field in downtown Detroit. Dave Beachnau from the local organizing committee, I think I got that right,
Yeah.
is
Yep.
joining us here in the Make the Turn studios. And quite frankly, you're the CEO of this entity in this organization. I know you guys have done a ton of work to get events to come to the city of Detroit, and it's been here once, but gosh, 2009 feels like an eternity ago.
That's
walking
right.
around downtown Detroit. How exciting is it now that you guys are officially on the clock to host
Yeah.
the Final
Well,
Four?
I'm getting chills as you're talking because to your point, it's been 18 years since we last hosted. In the Final Four, it's so different now than it was back in 2009. Everything's been amplified. Obviously, the Final Four exists because of the games themselves, but all of the other events that come along with it. A major music festival with they have A-list talent. Post Malone, Zach Brown band that all performed in Indianapolis over the weekend. So it's just a great opportunity for our community because not everyone will have tickets to the games, but you're going to hear it time and time again. No ticket, no problem, because there's so many other free and open to the public events that I'm really excited about.
Well, and you think about not only the economic possibilities that are going to come from hosting a Final Four, as you guys saw in 2009, but it's also like the exposure of the city and the change in the growth that many people who haven't visited Detroit in a while who will come back to this, regardless of what team. And the Final Four is one of those, like, it's Masters Week, so it's kind of one of those bucket list items that people just, tend to pick and go, oh, let's go to the Final Four this year. It's in Detroit. How excited are you? And I know you guys work, in hand with Detroit Sports Commission, Visit Detroit, and all the different entities that are just gearing up. Similarly, how when we hosted, the NFL draft.
Yeah, and speaking of the draft, we've just got so much momentum coming out of that. And the collaboration that we have now in the city, in the region, is unmatched to what we had, say, even back to 2009. And you talk about the visitor experience, it's a much different city since 2009, as is the Final Four. And I think we're going to really open some eyes with those visitors, those college basketball coaches who will be in town for the convention, who have not been back to Detroit since '09, and really looking forward to, again, continuing to shape the image and perception of Detroit on a national stage, now on a global stage, because it's broadcast in 200 countries, and so it's an amazing opportunity for us.
When I know that the lift is really heavy just to get Ford Field in line and the tickets in line and eventually the hotels and everything that's going to be coming. But how many phone calls are you getting per week or emails from just organizations around town and different entities that say, hey, we know that this is an opportunity for the city to shine? I just wonder what the buy-in and from everybody else in the community feels like from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be involved, and we've got the key stakeholders from Ford Field, the city of Detroit, as you mentioned, the Sports Commission, Visit Detroit. Michigan State University is our host institution, which has been incredible because, I will say it, without them as our host on the bid, I'm not 100% sure we would have gotten the 27 Final Four. They have an incredible reputation, not just from an administrative and an event production standpoint, but they've been to multiple Final Fours, as you well know. And that experience that they bring to our organizing committee, to really, they understand what the teams, the student athletes are looking for and what they need. So that's invaluable for us. And certainly Wayne County will have a role as we move forward, and others will come online as we get into the full-blown planning process. But it started months ago. The NCAA's been in town a couple of times, and beginning in June, they'll be here on a monthly basis for planning sessions with our entire group.
JW Marriott. That's taking over the old Joe Louis Arena location. We see it being built as we're down at the auto show and we're doing other things in downtown Detroit. We keep seeing that, knowing that that's going to be, and that's one thing that Indianapolis certainly does have, and they've always had that nice connection with the convention center and their JW Marriott. Detroit is going to have a facelift here, obviously with the Rensen and whatnot, but getting that right downtown in the heart with like all the rooms that it's going to have, the beauty of it, right on the water. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that was a big reason, something that the NCAA had said, like, hey, we need more of that.
That's right. And yeah, it's critical to have, JW open prior to Final Four. And there are a couple of our hotel properties in particular, the Edition Hotel, which is in the Hudson location. And so it's going to be a much better experience than '09 for sure, because the NCAA likes the city to be walkable from hotel to venue, to restaurants and in bars and all of those sorts of things. And then, the coaches convention, the National Association of Basketball Coaches annual will bring their convention to Final Four weekend. So we'll have upwards of 2,500 to 3,000 college coaches in town too. Many of them who remember 2009, and many of them stayed over in Windsor. And so, we're going to do our best to be sure that it's not that same experience that, while they may not all be downtown, we have some great opportunities in the suburbs to have, those hotel properties and parts of the region to benefit from the Final Four.
You were just in Indianapolis, Michigan, cut down the nets. I'm wearing my Michigan State golfing Sparty today. I mean, but how much can you glean from other Final Fours? And going back all the way even to '09, but going around and understanding, this was on the calendar for a couple of years now. You guys have had an opportunity to go and see. I mean, what can fans expect from, you can't give all the secrets away today, but what can fans expect as far as like a fan interactive experience when you come to the Final Four in Detroit?
Yeah, and like I said, there are several events that will take place around the city aside from the games themselves. The March Madness Music Festival, which I think I mentioned earlier, it's an A-list concert series that runs Friday through Sunday and is free and open to the public. There's a Fan Fest, which we did have in '09, but it's been taken to a whole nother level with the interactive opportunities, the sponsor activations now. That's a great experience for, kids of all ages, right? A tip-off tailgate, which is a newer event that started back in 2016, I believe, so some of the Final Four stadiums, as you know, are not downtown.
Right.
So it was created to get fans out to the stadium early for ingress, and so that's become now a staple year to year, regardless of where the stadium is. So that's, again, an activation. It's a viewing party, so those who don't have tickets, they'll show the games on a large screen. And even the Women's Final Four on the alternate nights, they show the Women's Final Four games as well. So that's new. And then, staples, when you talk about, community involvement, they have the Final Four dribble on Sunday morning where kids can pre-register. They get a Final Four t-shirt, a basketball, and upwards of 3,000 kids will be part of this program. They'll start from one origination point, and they'll dribble to the Fan Fest where they'll get free entry. So imagine 3,000 kids dribbling down Woodward Avenue or whatever the route ends up being.
Oh, that'll be cool.
And then, beyond that, Read to the Final Four is a new program they started a number of years ago to help with the literacy issues that we have. So it's a third grade reading competition that will tip off in the fall, where schools from not just Detroit, but even around the state can sign up, and they log minutes read, throughout the few months of the school year. And then the top schools are broken down to a 60-14 bracket, and the top four are invited to the Fan Fest on Monday for a big celebration. So, so there's so many ways for the community to participate and be involved. And you'll hear it time and time again, no ticket, no problem. And not everyone's going to be able to be in Ford Field, but it's still a great opportunity for the entire community.
It's unbelievable. I didn't know about that Read program. That's really cool, especially, kids are so involved in sports these days with social media and whatnot. As we kind of get close to closer each day, we get closer to it. I know it seems like calendar year, but we all know how that flies by.
It's going to go fast.
In a break. Are there any things that fans can be looking forward to, whether that's ticket announcements, whether that's maybe some activations in the summer, the fall, anything that people can maybe mark their calendars for roughly?
Yeah, first and foremost, the ticket application process for next year's Final Four has has opened.
Okay.
So it's a random draw, but people can go to Final4Detroit.com and they can sign up for Final Four tickets, and then they'll be notified in the fall whether they've been accepted or not. And that runs through May 31st.
Okay.
One way we're helping to promote Final Four coming to Detroit is the Fan Jam Tour, which we actually launched earlier at the Spirit of Detroit downtown with the mayor. So it's a mobile marketing experience, activations, shoot hoops, giveaways. There's also a national sweepstakes that the NCAA is running where you can register or sign up to potentially win 2 tickets and an experience to next year's Final Four. So the Fan Jam will be around the city, the region, statewide. We're even taking it up to the UP.
Oh, I love that.
Towards the end of May because there's a certain coach that's from the Upper Peninsula.
No names.
But also Connor Sports, which you may or may not know, all of the courts are manufactured in northern Michigan for the tournament.
So cool.
Every tournament site leading up to Final Four, those courts come from Michigan. So that's a pretty cool story. So again, the Fan Jam will be around for the next 12 months, different community events, community centers, and you can also go to our website to see what the future schedule will look like, and even request the possibility of the Fan Jam making a stop at your event.
What is that website?
It is Final4Detroit.com.
Final4Detroit.com. Dave, I know as a basketball fan myself, I can't wait to see all the great things you do. Obviously, keep your guys' eyes peeled for things that are going to be coming up because, I know that we say it every year. It's not that far away. It's not Christmas will be here, and all of a sudden will be full
That's
sprint
right.
into the Big Ten championship, and hopefully some Michigan teams, Michigan State, namely, are partying with us in the city of Detroit. Dave, thank you so much for being here. We super much appreciate it, and good luck this year. You're going to be busy.
Yes, looking forward to it. Thanks
Okay.
for having me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect.